The morning sun cast golden rays through the tall windows of Kensington Palace as Catherine, Princess of Wales, stood before her dressing mirror. Her hands trembled slightly as she reached for the delicate pearl earrings that once belonged to Princess Diana. Today was not just any ordinary day in the life of the royal family. It was the day that would mark a new chapter in British history, and she knew the entire world would be watching. William paced nervously in the adjoining room, adjusting his ceremonial uniform for what felt like the 100th time. The weight of responsibility had never felt heavier on his shoulders. As the heir to the throne, he understood that today's coronation ceremony would not only crown his father as king, but would also showcase the next generation of royals to the world. The future of the monarchy rested partly on how he and his family presented themselves to the nation. 9-year-old Prince George sat on the edge of his bed, swinging his legs while his younger sister Charlotte helped him with his tie. The young prince had been practicing his ceremonial walk for weeks, but the butterflies in his stomach reminded him that today was different from all their rehearsals. Charlotte, now 8 years old, wore her hair in perfect ringlets and seemed remarkably calm for someone her age. She had always been the composed one among the siblings. 5-year-old Prince Louis bounced around the palace corridors with infectious energy, despite the stern reminders from his nanny about proper behavior. His excitement was impossible to contain, and his innocent questions about why everyone seemed so serious brought moments of laughter to an otherwise tense morning. The youngest Wales child had a special gift for lightening the mood, even during the most formal occasions. Catherine finally took a deep breath and gathered her children around her. She knelt down to their level, something she had learned from her own mother about connecting with children during important moments. Her voice was gentle but firm as she explained once again what this day meant for their family and their country. She reminded them that millions of people around the world would be watching, not just to see their grandfather become king, but to see them represent the future of the royal family. The children listened intently as their mother spoke about duty, service, and the honor of being part of something much bigger than themselves. George nodded seriously, understanding the gravity of his position as third in line to the throne. Charlotte reached for her mother's hand, offering silent support in the way that only she could. Even little Louis seemed to sense the importance of the moment and stood still for once. William joined his family in the nursery, and for a brief moment, they were not the future king and queen, but simply parents preparing their children for a significant day. He placed his hands on George's shoulders and looked into his son's eyes, seeing a reflection of his own childhood nervousness before major royal events. The bond between father and son was evident as William shared words of encouragement and pride. The palace staff moved efficiently around them, making final preparations for the family's departure to Westminster Abbey. The same historic venue where William and Catherine had exchanged vows 12 years earlier would now witness another pivotal moment in their lives. The irony was not lost on the couple as they prepared to walk down the same aisle, but this time with their 3 children beside them. Catherine's stylist made final adjustments to her elegant cream-colored dress, ensuring every detail was perfect for the cameras that would capture every angle. The dress had been chosen carefully to honor British designers while maintaining the timeless elegance expected of a future queen. Her jewelry had been selected not just for beauty, but for the stories each piece told about the women who had worn them before. The children's outfits had been planned with equal care. George's miniature military-inspired uniform reflected his future role, while Charlotte's dress echoed the sophistication of her mother's style. Louis wore a sailor suit that paid tribute to royal naval traditions, though everyone secretly hoped his natural exuberance wouldn't lead to any wardrobe malfunctions during the ceremony. As the family gathered in the palace's grand entrance hall, a moment of profound silence fell over them. This was it. the moment they had been preparing for, not just in the past few weeks, but throughout their entire lives as working members of the royal family. The weight of history pressed down upon them as they realized they were about to participate in a ceremony that dated back over 1,000 years. Catherine reached for William's hand, and in that simple gesture, they drew strength from each other. Their love story had begun as college sweethearts, but it had evolved into a partnership that would serve their country for decades to come. The nervous young woman who had once been criticized by the press for taking time to understand her role had transformed into a confident future queen, ready to support her husband and guide her children through the complexities of royal life. The sound of horse-drawn carriages approaching the palace gates signaled that their journey to Westminster Abbey was about to begin. The children took their positions, George standing tall with newfound maturity, Charlotte graceful beyond her years, and Louis trying his best to mirror his older siblings while maintaining his natural charm. The family that had captured the hearts of people around the world was ready to step into their destiny, together. The Golden State carriage rolled through the streets of London as thousands of people lined the historic route to Westminster Abbey. Inside the ornate vehicle, the Wales family sat with practiced poise, though their hearts raced with anticipation. Catherine held Louis's small hand firmly in hers, knowing that the crowds and cameras could be overwhelming for a 5-year-old, no matter how well prepared he was for royal duties. George gazed out the carriage window with wonder at the sea of Union Jack flags and smiling faces. People had traveled from every corner of the United Kingdom and beyond to witness this historic moment. Some had camped overnight on the streets, determined to catch a glimpse of the royal procession. The young prince was beginning to understand the true scope of what it meant to be part of the monarchy, seeing firsthand how much the royal family meant to so many people. Charlotte waved elegantly to the crowds, her natural grace already evident at such a young age. She had inherited her mother's ability to connect with people through simple gestures, and her sweet smile brought joy to everyone who saw her. The 8-year-old princess seemed to instinctively understand the balance between maintaining royal dignity and showing genuine warmth to the public. William pointed out landmarks to his children as they passed, sharing stories about the history of each building and street. This was more than just a ride to a ceremony. It was a living history lesson about their heritage and the city they would one day serve as senior working royals. His calm demeanor helped settle any remaining nerves his children might have felt about the magnitude of the day ahead. As Westminster Abbey came into view, the family could see the elaborate decorations that had transformed the ancient church into a setting fit for a coronation. Red, gold, and purple banners hung from every available space, while thousands of flowers created a pathway of natural beauty leading to the main entrance. The Abbey had witnessed the coronations of monarchs for nearly 1,000 years, and today it would add another chapter to its remarkable history. The carriage came to a gentle stop at the Abbey's entrance, where a red carpet stretched up the stone steps. Catherine took a final moment to adjust Charlotte's hair and straighten Louis's collar, while William ensured George's uniform was perfect. These small, tender gestures reminded everyone watching that despite their royal titles, they were first and foremost a loving family taking care of each other. Stepping out of the carriage, the family was greeted by the Archbishop of Canterbury and other senior church officials. The children had met these dignitaries before during rehearsals, but seeing them in their full ceremonial robes added to the gravity of the occasion. Louis looked up at the towering figures with wide eyes, while George and Charlotte maintained their composure with remarkable maturity. The Abbey's interior took their breath away, even though they had seen it during preparation visits. 2,000 guests filled every seat, including world leaders, celebrities, and representatives from charitable organizations close to the royal family's heart. The magnificent Gothic architecture seemed to reach toward heaven itself, with centuries of history embedded in every stone and stained glass window. As they walked down the nave toward their designated seats, The family moved as one unit, supporting each other through what could have been an intimidating experience. Catherine's hand rested gently on Charlotte's shoulder, while William walked beside George, ready to offer guidance if needed. Louis stayed close to his mother, occasionally reaching up to hold her hand when the grandeur became overwhelming. The moment King Charles entered the abbey, a profound hush fell over the gathered congregation. The children watched their grandfather with mixture of pride and awe as he processed toward the altar in his ceremonial robes. This was the man they knew as a loving grandfather who read them stories and played games, but today he was transforming into their sovereign, the head of their family's ancient institution. Throughout the lengthy ceremony, the Wales children demonstrated remarkable patience and attention. George followed along in the order of service, trying to understand the ancient words and rituals that dated back centuries. Charlotte sat with perfect posture, occasionally glancing at her parents to ensure she was behaving correctly. Louis, despite his young age, seemed mesmerized by the music and pageantry surrounding him. When the moment came for the actual crowning, Catherine felt tears welling up in her eyes. She was watching her father-in-law become king, but she was also seeing her children witness the transformation of their family's role in history. William reached over to squeeze her hand, sharing in the emotional weight of the moment, as they both realized their children were experiencing something they would remember for the rest of their lives. The music swelled throughout the abbey as the crown was placed upon King Charles's head, officially beginning his reign. The Wales children joined in the traditional cry of "God Save the King," with voices that rang clear and true. In that moment, they were not just children attending a ceremony. They were active participants in the continuation of a monarchy that had guided Britain through centuries of triumph and challenge. As the newly crowned king processed back down the aisle, he paused briefly to smile at his grandchildren. The look they exchanged spoke volumes about the bond between generations and the love that existed within the royal family beyond their public duties. George, Charlotte, and Louis beamed back at their grandfather, their faces glowing with pride at what they had just witnessed. The ceremony concluded with a magnificent procession as the royal family followed the new king out of the abbey. The children walked with newfound confidence, having successfully completed their first major royal ceremony as the next generation of working royals. They had proven to themselves and the world that they were ready to embrace their roles with dignity and grace. The journey back to Buckingham Palace felt different from their earlier ride to Westminster Abbey. The Wales family sat in their carriage with a sense of accomplishment and shared pride, knowing they had successfully navigated one of the most important days in recent royal history. The children seemed to sit a little taller, having proven to themselves that they could handle the pressures and expectations that came with their birthright. Catherine looked at each of her children with immense maternal pride. George had conducted himself with the maturity expected of a future king, while Charlotte had charmed everyone with her natural elegance and poise. Even little Louis, despite his young age and occasional fidgeting, had managed to sit through the lengthy ceremony without any major disruptions. The months of preparation and gentle guidance had clearly paid off. As their carriage rounded the corner toward Buckingham Palace, the family could see thousands more people gathered on the Mall, all eager to witness the traditional balcony appearance that would conclude the coronation celebrations. The sea of red, white, and blue flags created a stunning visual display of national unity and support for the newly crowned king and the royal family as a whole. William felt a deep sense of satisfaction as he watched his children wave to the crowds with genuine enthusiasm. This was what he and Catherine had worked so hard to achieve, raising children who understood their responsibilities while maintaining their natural warmth and connection to the people they would one day serve. The balance between duty and authenticity had always been crucial to their approach to parenting. Inside the palace, the family had a brief moment to collect themselves before the balcony appearance. Catherine knelt down once more to check the children's appearance, smoothing Charlotte's hair and adjusting George's collar with the practiced efficiency of a mother who had attended countless royal events. These quiet moments of family intimacy provided a stark contrast to the public spectacle happening just outside their doors. Louis bounced excitedly as palace staff explained what would happen on the balcony, his energy having returned now that the formal ceremony was complete. His innocent questions about why so many people wanted to see them brought smiles to everyone present, reminding them that despite the grandeur of the day, they were still dealing with a typical 5-year-old who found the whole situation wonderfully exciting. The newly crowned King Charles joined his family in the palace's blue drawing room, still wearing his ceremonial robes and crown. The children rushed to congratulate their grandfather, their formal behavior from the abbey replaced by the natural affection they felt for him. These precious family moments, away from the cameras and crowds, represented the personal side of the royal family that the public rarely witnessed. As the time approached for the balcony appearance, Catherine felt her nerves returning. She knew that millions of people around the world would be watching their every move, analyzing their body language and interactions for signs of how the royal family was adapting to its new era. The pressure to present a united, confident front was immense, but looking at her husband and children gave her the strength she needed. The family lined up according to protocol, with the new king taking his central position, flanked by his closest family members. William and Catherine stood beside their children, ready to guide them through what would likely be one of the most photographed moments of their young lives. The weight of representing the monarchy's future rested on all their shoulders, but they carried it together. Stepping onto the famous balcony, they were greeted by a roar of approval from the massive crowd gathered below. The sight was breathtaking. Thousands of people stretching as far as the eye could see, all united in celebration of this historic moment. The children's faces lit up with genuine amazement at the scale of the public's enthusiasm for their family. George stood beside his father, unconsciously mimicking William's posture and wave. The young prince was learning through observation how to conduct himself in these public moments, absorbing lessons that would serve him throughout his future role. His serious expression showed that he understood the significance of standing before his future subjects. Charlotte charmed the crowds with her perfect royal wave, a technique she had obviously been practicing. Her natural grace and composure impressed even seasoned royal watchers, who noted how effortlessly she seemed to embrace her role as a working member of the family. The 8-year-old princess appeared completely comfortable in the spotlight. Louis provided moments of spontaneous joy that endeared him to everyone watching. His enthusiastic waves and occasional attempts to get his siblings' attention reminded the world that despite their royal status, the Wales children were still normal kids, experiencing something extraordinary. His genuine excitement was infectious and brought smiles to faces both in the crowd and watching from around the world. When the Royal Air Force flypast thundered overhead, the children looked up in wonder at the perfectly choreographed display. The sight of modern aircraft flying in formation above the historic palace created a powerful symbol of Britain's blend of tradition and progress. Louis clapped his hands in delight while George and Charlotte watched with focused attention. As the family waved their final farewell to the crowds, Catherine felt a profound sense of accomplishment. They had successfully presented themselves as a united, loving family ready to serve their country with dedication and grace. The children had exceeded all expectations, proving that the future of the monarchy was in capable hands. Walking back into the palace, the family was finally able to relax and reflect on what they had achieved together. The day had tested their preparation, their composure, and their ability to work as a team under intense scrutiny. They had passed every test with flying colors, demonstrating that the royal family could continue to evolve while maintaining its essential dignity and connection to the British people. The Coronation Day had officially ended, but its impact would resonate for years to come. The Wales family had shown the world that they were ready to embrace their future roles with confidence, grace, and genuine love for each other and their country. The next generation of royals had truly arrived, and they had done so with remarkable style and substance that promised a bright future for the monarchy.